What's up, guys? How's it going? My name is Joey. I'm back with another episode of British Guy Reacts, and the NBA playoffs are approaching. So what we're doing today is we are doing another stadium video. This one is about the NBA arenas where some of these playoff games will be taking place. It's the Worldwide Stadiums YouTube channel. Go and subscribe to them. We checked out so many of his videos. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to the gaming channel where we're playing MLB The Show. Let's jump straight into this. Let's go.
World-class arenas. Incredibly, only one of them was built before 1990. So
Okay.
anyway, let's
We're all
just get
very
straight
new
into it. Here are the NBA arenas for 2021-22.
Okay, so it's a year old, but you know, there can't have been many changes since then. Atlanta Hawks.
State Farm Arena, home of the Atlanta Hawks. It's located right next door to one of the best football stadiums in the world, but it doesn't make quite the same impression.
Yeah, it looks kind of minuscule compared to that,
I
doesn't it?
quite like that layered roof design though. Also, look, it says Atlanta, and that's the city that it's in.
That's quite cool.
On the inside, you can really tell it was renovated just a few years ago, this huge video board being the most obvious addition.
One thing I'd say about that is it's very, the theme's very like black and yellow or black and gold, whereas Atlanta Hawks are red and white, right? What's going on there? It does look cold though. It does look cold. I quite like it.
Obvious addition.
Random car up there as well. What's that car doing?
TD Garden, home of the Boston Celtics.
Go on, Boston. My team.
In terms of the exterior, the TD Garden is lacking. Compared to the last one, it really doesn't have much going for it.
Kind of squashed in there,
it's
isn't
a
it?
bit box-like, perhaps out of necessity. But the interior is a little more distinctive. That old school parquet floor in particular sets it apart.
I do like the floor at Boston.
Green seats would have been great, but they do share the arena with the black and gold Bruins.
Okay, makes
so
sense
the recently
then.
installed black seats will do just fine.
Brooklyn Nets.
Barclays Center, home of the Brooklyn Nets.
Is that a grass roof? Surely not. I don't know if it looks good. It's unique. We'll say it's unique. We'll go with unique to be kind.
Well, this one is basically the opposite of the last one. The exterior looks incredible. I love the almost rusty look that is meant to evoke
It is a grass roof.
Buildings in Brooklyn.
Okay, it looks better there.
But it should be impressive when it costs a whopping $1 billion.
Okay.
That's expensive for a football stadium, let alone an indoor arena. Oh, maybe it's not quite the opposite of the last one. The inside is somewhat similar. Black seats and not quite a parquet court, more of a herringbone. Spectrum Center, home of the Charlotte Hornets, who are part owned by Michael Jordan, the famous baseball player. You might be Michael Jordan, the famous baseball player.
Michael Jordan, the famous baseball player. MJ, the Bull, the Chicago Bull. I know he's trolling. Obviously he's trolling. We all know he went and played a little bit of baseball. But I bet some people are going to get triggered by that one.
You might be thinking, why does a baseball player own a basketball team?
He's trolling.
But he did actually play basketball for a little while before and after his
definitely
minor league
trolling.
baseball career. Not a lot of people know
that
that.
picture as well.
Anyway, I like the mix of metallic cladding and brickwork on the facade. As for the interior, well, there's a real buzz about the place.
Buzz City.
Even when it's not a hive of activity, it's still the bee's knees. Ah, damn it, that last one doesn't work,
The puns are horrendous. Here they are.
United Center, home of the Chicago
20K.
Bulls, the team that MJ played for, but you probably already knew that. He has actually played at this arena as well, not as a Bull, but as a Washington Wizard. The exterior design is a little dull compared to what we've seen so far, but what it does have going for it is the capacity. It's the biggest arena in the league. Although, to be fair, there's not a huge difference between the biggest and smallest.
One thing I will say about this video so far is I am a bit familiar with some of these arenas because I do watch NBA when I can. When I watch it, quite a lot of them are evening games, night games, and sometimes it does show like shots from the outside, and they look a lot better at night. I'm going to say that. They look a lot better at night because a lot of them light up, and you got the city lights surrounding them. Whereas like your football games will take place during the day, right? Baseball is at night as well, but they're open stadiums. But the arenas, I think, would look better in the night shots. Maybe you could have grabbed a couple of night shots for this video. Don't know, just my thoughts. Let me know what you think on that as well. Maybe I'm wrong.
Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, home of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
The Cavs.
It's the only arena in the league with a Karen haircut. Yeah, it's
Yo,
not
he's
a
not
perfect
wrong.
replica, but they did the best they could. It has actually undergone some recent renovations
It's pretty
that have
ugly,
changed
that.
the appearance of the facade.
From the outside.
As you can see, they've basically just extended the building. A lot of NBA arenas have an impressive scoreboard,
It's nice inside,
but
though.
it's just like this one's name.
Very nice inside.
Humongatron. It's presumably named
Humongatron.
after Percival Humongatron, one of Cleveland's founders.
My name is
American
Cleveland
Airlines
Brown.
Center, home of the Dallas
The
Mavericks.
Mavs.
This one has a facade that would look at home on a college
Ooh.
football stadium. Very impressive.
Look at that.
But up top it's more like an airplane hangar, hence its nickname the Hangar. It has an appropriate sponsor, come to think of it. In contrast to the atypical exterior, the interior is fairly standard,
Yeah.
but there's always going to be less room to be creative on the inside.
I feel like the Mavs are an old school team though, you know, kind of fits their vibe.
Ball Arena, home of the Denver Nuggets. You might be thinking, what's with the name? But a Denver Nugget is simply a Denver omelette in nugget form. Oh, and the name Ball Arena. Well, Ball Corporation is a Colorado-based company that mainly deals with packages. It's around 1 mile above sea level, making it the highest NBA arena,
Whoa.
meaning thinner air, which does still have an effect even for an indoor sport like basketball.
Of course it
just
does.
makes it that little bit more difficult for the away team. Not so much for the Utah Jazz, who are also quite high up.
Oh, that's a big advantage.
Little Caesars Arena, home of the Detroit Pistons.
Little
This
Caesars.
flashy venue was built just a
We
few
don't have Little Caesars in England. Is it good? Is it any good? So it's a weird name for an arena though, isn't it? Come on.
years ago to replace the
Imagine having
Palace.
Pizza
of
Hut
Malice of the
Park.
Palace fame.
Papa John's
The outside
Palace.
is fine, but even better is the interior, which is done up in this strikingly vibrant shade of red.
Yo.
Fortunately, the NHL team that shares the arena also have red on their uniform, as you'd expect
Panda.
given that they're called the Red Wings. Another visually striking feature is the ceiling that can light up different colors. It gives it a real sci-fi vibe, as well as the cube-like
It's a
video
beauty.
board.
I love red as well, so you
There
know.
are even more unique features I can mention, but we haven't got all day. I really like this one.
I like it too, mate. The Chase Center.
home of the Golden State Warriors. It's the
Home of the
newest
Splash
arena
Brothers.
in the NBA, having opened in 2019. The Warriors moved out of their Oakland residence to San Francisco.
Poor Oakland.
Poor Oakland. All that's left now are the A's, and even their future in Oakland is in doubt.
I know you guys
Just
love
like
the
their
A's.
baseball counterparts, the arena is located right on the
The
water's edge.
Coliseum.
Although, that's really more of a bonus for a baseball team than a basketball team. You can't really tell from the inside. I know that I shouldn't count food as a feature of the stadium
You definitely
because it
should.
can change from month to month, but I hear that the curry here is the best in the world. Much better than the curry in Philadelphia.
I don't know if I love his puns or I hate them. I think a bit of both. The guy who makes these videos is definitely a dad. He's 100% a dad. Because these are like dad jokes. Like, his dad jokes are on point. The Toyota Center, the
home of
Rockets.
the Houston Rockets. For the most part, the exterior is nothing to write home about. But the grand front entrance does look like you're walking into a rather
quite nice.
extravagant Toyota dealership. Which is no bad thing. Yeah, it's not quite a Lexus dealership, but Lexus don't make pickup trucks, and this is Texas. Wait, what? I guess I was wrong. Anyway, I have completely lost my train of thought. Houston, we don't have a problem with this arena. It is nice. Baker's
Pacers.
Life Fieldhouse, home of the Indiana Pacers.
All these stadiums look
This
super
one's
crammed
reminiscent
into
of
the
many
city.
college basketball arenas with its arched roof and brick facade. This was actually an intentional homage, as was the nearby Lucas Oil Stadium's design, which matches the arena perfectly. And it even has those huge windows that let in plenty of light. but they don't quite offer the same views of Indianapolis as Lucas Oil Stadium does, as you might expect. But regardless, it's an excellent arena and quite unique.
They're quite difficult to judge from the inside, right? They're all kind of similar in a way. Kind of tough to judge them. The Clippers and the Lakers, the Staples Center.
Staples Center, home of the Los Angeles Clippers and the Los Angeles
I thought it was bigger than that,
Lakers.
you know, the Staples.
It's the only arena in the NBA that's shared by two teams. It's known as the house that Kobe built because it was built just a couple of years after the late Kobe Bryant joined the Lakers. They didn't have to wait long to see success. A year after it opened, they were champions. Then the next year. And then the year after that. In fact, since it's opened, the Staples Center has seen 6 championships. It goes without saying that none of them were won by the Clippers. Maybe that's why they're planning on building their own arena.
How does one become a Clippers fan? How does that happen if you're born in LA?
FedEx Forum, home of the Memphis Grizzlies. The name does sound like the world's most boring online chat room. Did you see the new boxes that FedEx has introduced? So sturdy. Unlike most arenas built in the 21st century, it's a big round dome. A design that was more common back in the day, but with a bit of a modern touch. Oh, and interestingly, despite the name, there are no wild grizzlies in Tennessee. I guess they are named after the few that are kept in captivity. Or, given that this is the NBA, maybe they moved from an area that did have grizzly bears. Vancouver, perhaps? Seriously, it seems that half the league were once located elsewhere. FTX Arena, home of Miami Heat. Can you guess which company used to sponsor the arena?
FTX.
This is one of my favorite exteriors so far. It's very modern, very sleek, and
Pretty nice.
You know what? When approaching from this angle, it looks exactly like what Elon Musk.
No, you know what it looks like? It looks like a Marvel Avengers base. That's what it gives me the vibes of that. Or like, you know, like the Incredibles, the guy's base in that he has in the middle of like the jungle in the first one. You know what I'm saying? That's the vibe it's giving me.
His house would be
Iron Man's house.
if he was an
Something
evil
like that.
villain.
Yeah.
The spaceship would come out of this building, Thunderbird style.
It's very nice.
I can't say that I like the interior as much as I like the outside, but it is more than adequate.
It's not bad. The Bucks.
Fiserv Forum. I knew it. They only use the term forum for alliteration purposes. It's home of the Milwaukee Bucks, the reigning champs. We've got like a Russian
building
doll
am I looking at
situation
here?
with 3 arenas in a row progressively getting smaller. Except this one was
The big
actually
one then.
demolished in 2019. It was the Bucks' former home. Their new home has quite a conservative design. It keeps a low profile, but it
It's
does
nice
look
though.
pretty good with that swooping roof. It basically looks like they got the floor from TD Garden and turned it into a roof.
Kind of looks like a loaf
The
of bread.
interior looks fantastic, very clean and modern as you might expect. It's just 3 years old. Target
Timberwolves.
Center, home of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Another grass
Interestingly,
roof.
The adjacent baseball stadium is called Target Field. Target is from Minneapolis. Fancy naming your city after a small piece of fruit. Anyway, back to it. I'm glad they didn't put a giant sponsors logo on the roof like many we've seen so far. A giant target would make it far too easy for the Chinese military if a general manager of the Timberwolves were to tweet his or her
my man
support
just
for
could
democracy in Hong Kong.
Yo.
For some
Calm
reason,
down,
this
man.
one looks a lot smaller on the inside than most NBA arenas. Maybe it's the fact that there isn't like 10 tiers of seating, just 2. Smoothie King Center, home of the New
Pelicans.
Orleans Pelicans.
The curse team.
There is an arena in New
New
Orleans, and it's named for the Smoothie King. He destroys his enemies by blending them, then puts them in your drink. But whether you agree with the cruel tactics of the Smoothie King or not, his arena is okay. But it pales in comparison to the mighty Superdome next door.
It's tough that,
In
innit,
fact,
being
this
next to
one
such a
actually
big
is
stadium.
the smallest NBA arena. Despite this, it is still clearly fit for a king.
The Knicks.
Madison Square Garden, home of the New York Knicks. From the smallest arena to the oldest arena. Don't be fooled,
Legendary.
It's not square-shaped at all. And it's not really a garden either. Is it even Madison?
That's beautiful.
Well, that's yet to be determined. An arena-sized block of land is hard to come by in Manhattan, Central Park excluded. So they just built it on top of a railway station. Something else that's mind-blowing is that when the arena was renovated about a decade ago, it cost over $1 billion. For a renovation, that's crazy.
They made that money back though.
Was it worth it? Well, probably. It's not just a sports venue, but also one of the busiest concert venues in the world.
Boxing.
Despite all the money that went into it, it still has a bit of an old school look to it. Which is nice. Paycom
Thunder.
Center, home of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Interestingly, this arena was built without an NBA team or NHL team in the city. They had a minor league hockey team and an
Seattle
Arena
Supersonics moved there, right?
But they still built it to the minimum NBA standards in the hope that they might get their own team someday. And guess what?
They did.
They did. In many ways, it's
They had a
the
bloody good
opposite
one
of
at one
Madison
point.
Square Garden. It lacks the same luxuries. There seems to be plenty of vacant land around, and it's a little more square-shaped.
It was very nice full though. That's a good shot. Very nice shot. Magic.
Amway Center, home of Orlando Magic. It also hosts an arena football team called the Orlando Predators, which if you live in the area, you would already know about that because they had to knock on your front door and inform you that they moved into the neighborhood. The metal and glass facade looks pretty good, but the interior is where this arena shines. Often teams brag about having the biggest video screen in the world, or the state, or the county, but this one isn't necessarily the biggest, but it is the tallest in the NBA. And much like Boston, they've gone with the parquet floor.
Old school.
Wells
Philly.
Fargo Center,
That's a big
home
one.
of the Philadelphia 76ers. Is this the only place in the world that has an NFL and MLB stadium, as well as an NBA/NHL arena, all within the same parking lot, more
That's
or less?
sick.
I know Detroit had all three pretty close together, but this is something else. It might not be my absolute favorite arena, but it does have one thing that the other NBA arenas presumably don't have. And that's 4 and 20 pies for sale. This tasty treat originates from the same state as Ben Simmons. Oh. Actually, you know what? Maybe they won't sell them this season. Footprint Center,
Phoenix
home of the
Suns.
Phoenix Suns. Fresh off a major renovation and a minor devastation having lost to the Bucks in the finals. But they were basement dwellers a few seasons ago, so I think they'll take that. The best thing about the recent renovation is probably the huge 360-degree video
Whoa.
screen. But by far the worst thing about it is they got rid of the purple seats and replaced them with black ones. Or maybe it's more
What's with the black seats in these new stadiums? Everyone's going for the black
of a
seats.
charcoal, but that doesn't matter. What's wrong with purple? It's a great color. Moda Center, home of the Portland Trailblazers. It was formerly known as the Rose Garden, Portland being not just Rip City but also the Rose City. But unlike a typical rose garden, it is considered by many to be quite an ugly building. And while I agree
Looks like a
it's perhaps not
tortoise
postcard
or a
worthy,
terrapin.
I think that's a little harsh to call it ugly. The interior looks great with those red and black seats, and the court itself looks even better. I quite like the Blazers logo, as does Damian Lillard, who has a fondness for shooting ridiculous threes from it. Golden One Center,
Kings.
home of the Sacramento Kings. The roof features branding of the Golden One and panels collecting rays from the golden sun. Which
Nice.
is always good. It has quite a nice metallic facade, which thankfully isn't a golden one, and so it doesn't look out of place from street level. Unfortunately, on the inside it loses purple points.
Don't really like that.
They've decided to go with black seats once again despite being a purple team. Whatever. I guess there's plenty of purple on the court. It's one of the few NBA arenas that has a single tier of seating at one end. It looks great though. AT&T Center, home of the San Antonio Spurs. It's a major downsize from their old home, the Alamo Dome, a football stadium. It too has a fairly understated design with its use of brick and corrugated iron. As for the inside,
it's
well,
beautiful
don't
inside.
get me wrong, when I said Sacramento should have had purple seats, that was nothing against black, because this looks badass.
That looks so good.
And it obviously matches the Spurs uniform.
It's the best one inside. That and Detroit's really nice.
Scotiabank Arena, home of the Toronto Raptors. This one looks like it's been surrounded by bullies. The much bigger skyscrapers are always picking on little Scotia. And the CN Tower just watches on. Just like the Spurs, the Raptors used to play out of an actual stadium. This time it was the Skydome, home of the Blue Jays. That was just while this arena was being built.
Don't really like the floor.
And I guess I should mention that it's apparently the most photographed place in Canada.
The Utah Jazz.
Arena, home of the Utah Jazz. It's one of the oldest NBA arenas,
It's a bit
although you
boxer.
wouldn't really be able to tell just by looking at it. In its 30-odd years, it's even hosted events at the Winter Olympics. Today, very little ice remains. Ironically, it doesn't even host an ice hockey team, as many others in this league do. It's known for being a very difficult arena for visiting teams. Not just the elevation, but the hostile crowd. Which you probably wouldn't expect from a team called Jazz.
You're not very nice there in Utah. Washington
Capital
Wizards.
One Arena, home of the Washington Wizards.
Bit Chinese on
In
the
a
side.
serendipitous turn of events, the sponsor's name comes in handy. In case you were wondering whether the team represents the state of Washington or the US capital, it's the Capital One. Another reason you can tell it's in the capital city is that, as you may have noticed,
free chicken
there's no
sandwich.
3D imaging available, for security reasons. At least it is actually in DC, unlike the NFL stadium. But yeah, it's a fairly typical NBA arena. And that's it for today's video.
See, these are the shots you should have been getting. Look how nice this looks now lit up outside. These are the shots we needed, man. The nighttime shots. But very, very good videos still. They always do good videos here on this YouTube channel. I'm still undecided whether I enjoy the puns or not, but I guess it adds something. We'll say it adds something. Let me know what your favorite one is down in the comments. I'd say the favorite interior would be the San Antonio Spurs or Detroit one. I think it was the Detroit one. They were the one who shared it with the ice hockey team, right? Both in red. But Spurs would take it. Exterior, I'd probably go for Madison Square. Even though it's not the prettiest, there's just something about Madison Square Garden or the Miami one, the one that looks a bit like a evil villain's man cave, lair, whatever you'd call it. They'd be my favorites. Do subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, leave those comments down below. I'll see you for the next one. Take it easy. Peace.